Torch. I'm going to talk to you today about a couple different ideas about breath and ways to breathe that are borrowed. One is borrowed from the yogic tradition, so if you are a yogi, you will be familiar with this. Another that's borrowed from the Chinese Qigong tradition, out of which Tai Chi and Karate come. And then I'm going to share with you a technique I like to use with my students and myself for performance anxiety. So the first breathing technique I want to get to is the 3-part Pranayama breath. Now Pranayama, all that means is movement of energy, or movement of prana, movement of breath. That's all that. It's just fancy Sanskrit. That's all it means. And this is the one that's most closely aligned with any breathing that you are familiar with in Western vocal pedagogy. So it starts really low in your belly, and it starts with a soft belly. So you inhale, it drops down into your belly first, then it rises up through your solar plexus, through your heart space, through your chest, stops in your throat, and then slowly reverses. Okay, now the controversial part about that for a singer is oftentimes we're taught we shouldn't breathe higher than our sternum. You know, we keep all of this centered in this area. Well, in my experience, when you breathe a little bit higher than that, as long as it is centered low in your belly so that you can activate those lower abdominals to then press up against your diaphragm, to then send your diaphragm up against your lungs and press all that air out. As long as you're centered in your lower torso, then letting that air lift up into your throat space can actually help to open your throat. So I have found that to be really helpful, and if you practice that on your own, you'll get the feel of that, and you'll determine whether or not that's useful for you. You know, all of these are suggestions. They're things that hopefully you can cherry pick and find what you like. So let's actually try that. So you're sitting up nice and straight. You just let your belly go soft. Nothing, just nothing. Inhale. Let it lift, part 2. Let it lift, part 3. You're fully tanked into your throat. Hold it for a beat, and then slowly reverse through your nose is best. Now here's the second part. When you get to the end of your exhale, you're pulling in your belly button. So that's activating your diaphragm, getting all of that air out, and then you just release, go soft. Inhale, exhaling. End of your exhale is pulling in your belly button. That activates your lower abs, and release. And reverse, pulling in, and release. One more time. And release. Now, if this is difficult to do as one steady stream in 3 parts, you might think of pulling in air in little puffs. So you inhale a little more, and that can help you. That is also super helpful hooking singers into a good singing breath, because lots of times singers are a little too tight in their upper body to allow the free flow of that all the way up. But if you give that little pause in between each of those 3 stages, it gives you just a millisecond to release that tension, and then you can continue with the breath. So that's the 3-part pranayama breath, really closely aligned to Western pedagogical singing technique. The next one is probably going to be the most controversial for you. It is the Qigong reverse breath, is what this is called in Qigong tradition. And like I said, this is related to Tai Chi, this is related to karate. You probably have all sorts of kids that are in karate class. They're gonna hopefully be familiar with this. This is also super helpful if you have dancers, because dancers are taught, as you probably already know, to breathe a little bit more shallowly. This core is just super engaged all the time, doing nothing. And the breath has a tendency to get a little shallow. This is a challenge when those dancers move into singing, because they're so accustomed to locking up this core. Well, let's turn that to our advantage. So if we're thinking in terms of this Qigong reverse breath, the way that happens is the whole center of it, the inhale and the exhale, are both centered right behind your belly button. So ta-da, that's where your diaphragm is, basically, right? That same sort of general area. So your belly doesn't expand and contract very much at all, like almost none. So what you're going to do is center all of the action of your inhale and exhale right here without moving your belly too much. Now I know it's kooky, and it'll take you a while, it'll take you some tries to lock into that, but once you do, you'll feel that all of that area is like totally aggressively engaged, and nothing about that is going to be a bad thing for singing. So here's the way it works. Now, it's going to seem like I am chest breathing, but I want you to remember that the center of it is right here. So I'm going to inhale. I'm going to turn kind of at an oblique angle so maybe you can see a little bit more what's happening here. So I'm going to inhale. And that inhalation is lifting up through my torso. I'm feeling my back expand. And then as I exhale, I maintain what little bit of expansion I have. I'm maintaining the compression in my core as I exhale. Then inhale, center your attention here and let the breath lift up. Exhale, you stay centered. Inhale, lift it up through your back. Exhale, maintain your expansion. One more time, inhale, lift it up. Exhale, maintain your expansion. Now maybe that feels kind of odd, but you'll know you're locked into it when you really feel firmness in your core. You're gonna feel like you've just done sit-ups in your core when you lock into that breath. Now the way that's gonna tap into your dancers is it's gonna stay centered in the area that they are accustomed to activating all the time. So they're gonna already be locked into this idea of what it feels like to be in their core. So you can use that to your advantage to have them expand that up through their torso just a little bit more, deepen their breath a little bit that way. Now, something to watch out for is sway back. So you've got all of these girls especially that try so hard to stand up straight, and they end up standing like this. Well, I mean, you try to take a breath here, You see my front doing something, my back's doing nothing. If you're holding tension in your back, you will never get an expansion all the way around. So you might cue your singers to lift up their pubic bone. Here's my sway back. Lift up their pubic bone, point their tailbone straight down. And that is all you have to do for spinal alignment. It's as simple as a pelvic tilt. But watch out for that, because girls particularly are really bad to go into that sway back thing. Now quickly, I have one more thing for you that is for performance anxiety. This is the best thing ever since sliced bread, no kidding. So when you're having performance anxiety, you've activated your sympathetic nervous system. This is the part of our makeup that I like to refer to it as being in sympathy with the anxiety that you're feeling, okay? Your sympathetic nervous system, and you're all over here. What we have to find a way to do is activate our parasympathetic nervous system, which is the rest and relax impulse. So in order to do that, we got to get out of our head, because it's our head that's saying this thing, that thing, I'm gonna fail, I'm awful, No. So in order to drop down in your body, you have to do something physical. So here's what you do. You completely deplete your body of air. And when you deplete, you're gonna go back to that pranayama exhale idea of really pulling that belly button in. So you're squeezing. You're getting all of that air out. Once you are depleted of air, I want you to squeeze your bottom together. Now this is activating, if you're into your chakra system, I'm not gonna talk about that, but this is activating your root chakra. This is the lowest point in your torso, and this is what is connected to your stability, your sense of security. So if you are squeezing your bottom together, activating Muladhara chakra on that empty lungs, you are immediately dropping into your body. Now you use those abs to pull that energy into your lower belly, your center of creativity, chakra 2. We want something that's going to activate our creativity rather than our panic. So Muladhara chakra, then chakra number 2, lower belly. Use your diaphragm to pull that energy up into your solar plexus, chakra 3. This is your inner fire, your inner furnace, your ego, your sense of self. Burn all the garbage up in your inner fire. You don't want it to get higher than your heart. Your heart's your center of compassion. You send compassion from your heart into your furnace, burning up all of that garbage. No air, don't breathe. And then you release it with an inhale. It's really intense, okay? So let's try it real quick. I know I'm out of time. So let's do this. So exhale completely. Out of breath, squeeze your bottom. Imagine sending all of that energy into your lower belly. Use your diaphragm to pull it into your solar plexus, where your inner sun is burning up all of that garbage. Your heart is sending compassion to infuse that fire with compassion. Hold it as long as you can, then release, inhale. Take a few normal, natural breaths, because you're gonna be all wiggy after that. And you have, just like that, dropped out of your head into your body, activated your sense of security, activated your creativity. Guarantee it works. Try it. Try it with yourself, try it with your students, try it with your colleagues. Good luck. Namaste.